Right. So, Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. Hello, and welcome to the most exciting course in mental mathematics. So, in this is a kind of short course, and in this course, we are going to learn about mathematics, not in a regular way that we have learned in our schools, right? It's kind of like we have to calculate some arithmetic problems by only using our mind. So after learning this course, we will be able to calculate the mathematic problems without having any calculator or even without having a pen and a paper. So, my name is Bashir Ahmed Mohammed Nishat. I'm a mechanical and manufacturing engineer. I work as a design engineer at Serbia via work from home. I also created a business called Robototec, and on our Robototec, we supply electronic components such as Arduino, as well as we conduct lectures in Arduino robotics, right? So let's get started. So first of all, you have to take some notes in here. This is a free course. This will be conducted up to May 14th, each Saturday and Sunday at 8 p.m. It will be conducted via online Zoom at 8 p.m., right? So you have to take notes by your own. And if you don't understand anything while I'm teaching, you can ask me questions. You can raise your hand. If you didn't understand anything, you can raise your hand and ask me questions, right? Okay. So mental maths means we have to calculate something, whatever we have the problems. Maybe if I ask you to calculate something, maybe what is 98 times 98? If I ask you like that, and suddenly you will go and take a pen and paper to write that question in order to calculate that simple question, right? That is okay before our course. If you do that, that is okay. But after our course, if I ask you the question, what is 96 times 98? You have to process that within your mind and you have to say it. It's not like a magic or black magic or something. It's just practice and techniques, right? If you follow the methods along with me, and then you will be able to calculate those things, right? However, 98 times 98, which is equal to 9604, 9,604, right? If you have the calculators, you can calculate them, right? Okay, so why maths is hard? Have you ever wondered why maths is hard? Basically, the maths, you think like, okay, we can study maths by what we have studied, like we study another things like history or science. Of course, we can use the same technique and apply it to mathematics and we can learn. No, that's not the way we can learn mathematics. Mathematics is different. We have to use different methods, different techniques in order to learn maths. If you follow those methods and the techniques, and then it will be very easy for us to learn, right? Okay, first of all, if you are going to study mathematics, we have to write that. If you are going to solve that particular problem, we have to write that problem, maybe write it in our own words. And then we have to obtain the pen and the paper, and we have to write that problem and solve it, right? That is how we solve that mathematic problems. As well as we have to follow that mathematics problems, we have to solve the problems from one by one from basics, right? You cannot go and obtain the 10th question on your book's examples. You cannot obtain the 10th question and start doing that. No, that's a wrong approach, right? What we have to do is we have to start from scratch, right? We have to start from the first question, and then we have to try one question by another question, right? Why? Because in our book, in our textbook, they have written that questions along with the simplicity up to difficulty, right? So one by one, each question will be added some kind of difficulty onto it, right? So then only we can reach to the 10th question, right? First of all, we have to do one by one. First question, second question, third question. Likewise, we have to follow that, right? And the next thing is we don't have enough time in our examinations, right? As an example, when you are sitting on the examination, probably you didn't have the time to complete those things. Maybe you would have done only 4 questions when you supposed to complete 5 questions on your exam, right? So this might happen because of the speed that you are doing for the math calculations, right? So we have a technique for you to achieve that speed, right? It's very simple. In this session, we are going to learn those techniques one by one so that you will be able to calculate those things from your mind very easily, right? And the next thing is less practice. Whatever if I told you, right? Whatever if I teach you something, if you didn't practice them, and then that will be useless, right? As an example, in the course, during the course, if I ask you some questions, of course, you can, in the course, you can say, okay, this is the answer, this is the answer, right? If I ask you the same question after 1 month passed from this course, and then you will be stuck, right? So for that, we have to practice them. Even if you practice them regularly, you can answer faster than me, right? That's also true, and it's also possible, right? Okay. So the next thing why maths is hard is don't know the shortcuts. If you don't know the shortcuts, how to do them, and that will also result in difficulty of studying maths. And also the next important thing is did not do the past papers. We have to do past papers, right? If we are doing those past papers, then only we can come to know that, okay, this question has come already, and maybe similar to this question will come next year, right? Likewise, we can predict which question in particular will come in future, right? So that is the way that we can approach mathematics. Doing past papers, we can come to know that, okay, this is the question on that paper, right? On that particular year, it has come already. Likewise, we can think about those things, right? Okay, so now, what is all about this course, right? If I ask you to calculate 96 times 98, probably you will obtain a calculator, or maybe you will obtain a pen and paper to do these things, do these simple things, right? But it's not actually like that. All these things can be calculated from our mind, right? That is why we are learning this one, right? Our main object, main goal of this course, of this short course, is to make you all human calculators, kind of like that, right? You have to calculate mathematics and its problems by your mind without using a pen and paper, right? Of course, you can use them for taking notes right now, but if I ask you some question, you have to answer it from your mind, right? That is the overall idea of this course, right? Hope you get an idea about that one. Okay, so as a first technique, we are going to learn addition, right? If I talk about addition, let's say that we are going to add 27 plus 44. How can you do that? In our schools, we have learned that addition technique, it will be like 7 plus 4, which is equal to 11. We have to put 1 over here, and another one will be a remainder. And then we have to add this 4 plus 2, that will be equal to 6. And then we have to add that remainder and put it down here, that will be 71. This is the regular way that we have already learned in our schools, right? So if you are going to calculate these things, if you are going to do calculations by your mind, what we have to do is we have to follow the technique. The technique is named as left to right arithmetic. right? We have to calculate them from left to right, right? As an example, if we are going to add 27 plus 44, what we have to do is we have to add like that direction shows, like this arrow shows, we have to add like that, right? First of all, we have to add that 20 plus 40, right? Which will be equal to 60. And then we have to add that 4. So then it will be 60 plus 4, which is equal to 64. After that, we have to add that 7 as well. So altogether, 64 plus 7, that will be equal to 71. Like this method, we have to calculate. So why am I teaching this method? Why am I teaching that addition technique to you? You guys are maybe OL or grade 10 students. Why I am teaching you the additional techniques? That because if I ask you to calculate what is 103 times 108, you will be in trouble, right? You have to obtain the pen and paper to do those questions. But if you learn that from the basics, okay, this is the technique that we have to use if you see some kind of addition. If you use all the techniques that I teach you, and then the maths will be very easy, as well as the maths can be, you can solve those problems very faster, right? We can solve those problems faster, like you had done before, right? Okay. So likewise, we will see another example. What is 541 plus 623? Can you answer that? How it can be calculated? Can someone let me know that? Yeah.
Yes. Can I answer, sir?
Yeah.
500 and 600 is 1100 and
Yeah.
420 is 60,000. Then 1160. Then 3 and 1 4. 1160.
Yeah.
Yes.
Likewise, we have to calculate, right? But of course, when we are doing this one for the first time, it will be difficult. It will be hard. Our mind will calculate from right to left. It will be hard for the first time if we are doing these things, right? But if we do practice these things regularly, day by day, as an example, you calculate 10 examples for addition every day, and then you will be in practice with these things. After that, you will become an expert, as well as you can calculate faster than I calculate, right? Okay, that is the technique. That is the method we have to do. Like we have to add these things, 500 plus 600, that will be 1100. 1100 plus 20, that will be 1120, plus 40, that will be 1160, plus 1, 1161, plus 1164, right? So likewise, we have to add them in a way that the arrow indicates, right? If we do that, and then it will be easy. I'm just showing you the method for you to maybe take notes or something. But when we are doing this actually, you have to process all these things from your mind, and then you have to say the answer, right? On your mouth, only the answer should come, right? Okay. So 1164 is the answer for that, right? Let me provide you another example. What is 325 plus 542? Can anyone answer my question? What is the answer? 860? How much is?
7.
Yeah, 867. Yeah, that will be good. Huh? Okay, just a second. Huh? Yeah, in the meantime, if you have any question, you can ask it to me, right? Okay. So the next thing that we are going to learn is subtraction, right? If I talk about subtraction, it will be very easy. What we have to do is we have to change that subtraction into addition, and then we are going to proceed with that, right? It's very simple. Let me provide you an example. Let me explain the regular way that we have already learned in our schools. It will be like 81 minus 28. How will you calculate this? It will be simple. We have to subtract 8 from that 1. That will not going to be possible. So that we have to obtain some tens from that 8. So then it will be 11 minus 8. That will result in 3. And then after, the 8 has given 1. So that it will be 7 minus 2, which will be equal to 5. So then the answer will be 53, right? This is the answer, or this is the regular way that we have already learned in our schools. But what if I tell you we have a great technique in order to do these subtractions very quickly? Of course, yes, we have the technique. If you are going to subtract something, right? If you are going to subtract 28 from 81, what we have to do is we have to subtract that 30 from 81, right? Why I have obtained that 30, right? The 30 is the next 10th number. That means 28, 29, 30, right? The next 10th is 30. So that we have to subtract 30 from 81. If you do that from your mind, what will be the answer? Can anyone answer that?
51.
Yeah, it will be 51. It's obvious, right? We all know that 81 minus 30 will be 51. It will be quick. After you have subtracting that, right, it will result in 51. After we have obtained that particular 51, what we have to do is we have to add 2. Why 2? The 2 is the difference between 28 and 30, right? So that we have to add that 2 from that 51. So then it will result as 53. It's very simple. If I provide you another example, so then you will understand it totally, right? So as an example, not this one. Let me write another example, like maybe what if I subtract 72 minus 39, right? What is the answer for this? What we have to do? Can anyone say that? What we have to do? We have to obtain 72, and then we have to subtract 40 from this 72, right? So then what will be the answer? It will be how much? 72 minus 40, how much?
32.
Yeah, it will be 32, right? We have got that 32. After that, we have to add the difference between this 39 and 40. The difference is 1. So we have to add this 1 from this 32. So then it will be 33. Simple, right? So we have to analyze what the numbers, right? We have to analyze the numbers that we are going to subtract. If the numbers are more than 5, right? As an example, let's say the number is 24, right? This number, the last ending number, is less than the middle number. The middle number is 25, right? So it's less than the middle number. If it is 26, and then that will be another case. Likewise, we have 2 methods, 2 techniques in order to do these subtractions, right? If the subtracting number is more than that middle number, we have to obtain the next 10th number. That means we have to obtain 30, and then we have to subtract, right? And if we are going to subtract 24, which is less than that middle number, what we have to do is we have to subtract 20 from that. Right? Maybe as an example, maybe a same example like if we are going to subtract 72 minus, let's say 43, 72 minus 47 or maybe 7, right? Let's say we are going to subtract these two numbers. Here, this is a one method. We have to apply one method over here. And here there will be another method, maybe another technique or something, right? So this one we can easily calculate, right? 72 minus 50, which is equal to 22 plus 3, the difference, 47 and the 50, the difference will be 3. So we have to add that 3 with that 22. So then it will be 25, right? Here, what we have to do is we have to subtract 72 minus 40. Why 40? Because this ending number 3 is less than 5. It's less than the middle number. So that we have to subtract 40 from 72. If we do that, we can come to know that the answer will be 72 minus 40. That will be equal to 32, right? So 32 will be here, maybe in our mind, right? From that 32, we have to subtract again that difference. 43 and 40, the difference will be 3, and this difference will be subtracted. In this technique, it will be added, but in this technique, it will be further subtracted. 3 will be further subtracted. So then the answer will be 29, right? So that is how we calculate that one. So let me provide you another example so that you will understand it more, right? Okay, 78 minus 24. 24 is less than that middle number. So we have to subtract 20 from that 78. So if we do that, 78 minus 20, that will be equal to 58. And then 58 minus, right? So we have to obtain that earlier number. And then that will be 58. 58, what we have to do is we have obtained the lesser number, right? So that we have to subtract it again, right? So that it will be 58 minus 4, that will be equal to 54, right? Okay, any question? Any question on this technique? Okay, if you don't understand anything, you can raise your hand or you can ask me questions, right? Okay. So this is the chart we have to follow, right? If the number is ending greater than 5, we have to subtract the next number, next 10th number or 100th number, and then we have to add the difference, right? If the number is less than 5, we have to subtract twice, right? We have to subtract the number twice, right? Like we have to subtract 20 and 4, likewise. But if the number is more than 5, we have to subtract and then add the difference, likewise, right? Hope you understand these two methods. If you don't understand anything, of course, you can ask me questions, right? Okay, another example. Let's say we are going to subtract 584 minus 378, right? Here, what will be the subtracting number? What can you expect? 584 minus 378. What will be the subtracting number? It will be 400, right? So 584 minus 400, which will be equal to 184, right? So that 184 will come over here. And then after, we have to obtain that difference in between that 378 and 400. That will be 22. That particular 22 will be added or subtracted. What will be the answer? Can anyone say that?
Added.
Added?
Added.
Subtracted. Added. Why? Why added?
Because this is greater than 5.
Yeah. Because it has been, we have obtained that greater number, right? So it will be added, right? So if we add those numbers, what will be the technique? If you are going to add
202.
those two numbers, what will be the technique? I'm asking, not the answer, right? Of course, we have to apply our left to right arithmetic technique, right? We have to use that same left to right arithmetic technique. That is why for initially we have learned that one, right? As an example, we have to add 100 plus 0. Okay, 120 plus 80. So it will be 200, 204 plus 2, 206. Likewise, we have to add it, right? So like that arrow indicates, we have to add that, right? If we do that, the answer will be like 206. It's very simple, right? So that will be the subtraction technique for you. So we have learned 3 techniques. First of all, first one is like adding 2 numbers. We have to avoid that right to left arithmetic. And then we have to apply the left to right arithmetic, which will be adding hundreds, tens, and ones, right? So that why we are doing that? Because if we are doing that, it can be calculated from our mind. We don't have to use any kind of pen and paper to write down those things, right? We can do it from our mind, right? A fact is there. The fact is, even nowadays, the supercomputers are there, but our brain is the fastest computer than the latest invented supercomputer, right? So our human brains are very powerful and faster than that. So the problem why we are lacking that is lack of practice, right? If we practice these things regularly, day by day, if we practice these things, 20 examples, 30 examples, and then we will become calculators, right? We don't have to use them calculators or something. If I ask you something from my mouth, even within 1 second or 2 seconds, you can provide me the answer, right? So that is how it works. And we are going to learn multiplication. Before we learn that multiplication, I have an announcement. This Zoom meeting is limited for 40 minutes. So I will provide you another link for you to join you guys. So you can expect that link in the group, in our Robototec general group, WhatsApp group, so that you can click that link and join it again, right? Okay. So here we are going to learn about multiplications in maths, right? If I talk about multiplications, it will be divided, right? That means we are not going to learn all the multiplications in once. We are going to divide them, separate them. We are going to categorize them, and then we are going to apply each technique for each category, and then we are going to learn it, right? So for that, I have categorized like this: 0 to 9 numbers, multiplying by 10, multiplying by 11, an easy method, and then multiplying by 12 to 19 numbers, multiplying by 21 to 90 numbers, and then 91 to 99, and more than that, right? All these things can be done by our mind only, without using any pens and papers, right? It's very simple. What we have to do is, if we are going to multiply whatever the number by in between these numbers, right? First of all, the rule will be applied. The rule is the number that you are multiplying should rely in this range, right? It should rely within this range. As an example, the regular way will be, 24 times 3, right? In our schools, maybe in grade 3, we have learned like we have to multiply that 4 times 3, it will be 12. We have to only add 2, and then 1 will be a remainder. And then we have to multiply 3 times 2, that will be 6, and then we have to add that remainder to it, and then it will be 7. So the all answer will be 72. This is the regular method that we have learned in our schools. But if we are going to calculate them in our mind, we have to learn another technique, another simple technique, right? Like what we have learned in our addition technique, similar to that, right? The technique will be 24 times 3. If you are going to calculate that one, first of all, we have to divide that number, right? First of all, we have to divide that 24. How can we divide? It's very simple. We have to divide that as 20 and 4. We have to divide that, separate them. After separating that, that will be 20 times 3. We have to multiply 20 times 3. That will be equal to 60. After that, we have to multiply the second separation. That will be 4. 4 times 3, right? 4 times 3 will be equal to 12. After multiplying these two numbers, and we have to add them together, right? How can you add? Of course, we have to apply the same technique that we have learned in our addition technique, right? Like left to right, that arrow method, right? So we have to use that arrow method, like 60 plus 10, that will be 70, plus 2 plus 0, 72. Right? That is how we calculate. So then the answer will become as 72. This will be a simple technique. It looks simple and something that we are already familiar with, but you have to follow this technique, right? If you follow this technique, then you will become an expert in calculating these things, right? You can, if I ask you some kind of what is 103 times 106, and of course you can say that 10,909, right? So likewise you can say that. So likewise you can say that answer for those questions, so it will be very easy. Let me provide you an example so that you can understand it more. Maybe what will be 721 times 4? How can we calculate that? Can anyone answer this? 700 multiplied by 4, that will be 2,800, right? So 2,800 will be in your mind. Do not write anything. Just I'm writing this for you to understand these things, right? Do not write anything. So that after we have to multiply that 20 times 4, that will be 80. So 80 will become here. And then 1 times 4, that will be equal to 4. And then after, we have to add all these things together like this, right? 2,000 plus 800 plus 2,884, right? So 2,884 will be the answer, right? Seems easier, right? Right. Let's say another example like 645 times 5. What will be the answer? 3,000. 40 times 5, that will be 200. So 3,225. So 3,225. Simple, right? You can correct, right? If I am wrong in any calculations, maybe you can correct that, right? Okay. So I will end this meeting and join the meeting again, right? I will provide you the link on our WhatsApp group, so you can join it again, right?